Okay, let's jump right back in here. We need to now associate this timer's done bit with a one-shot that's going to get us into fill mode. So let's come up here and go ahead and copy this one-shot, and we're going to paste one more down, and we know that's going to be one-shot 4. There we go, and good. And let's go ahead and define that. We've got it. And the input bit for this is not going to be our alarm reset. It's going to be our fill_delay.dn. So whenever we get that done signal from our fill delay, then we want to trigger something here, and that's not going to be an alarm reset trigger. That's going to be a fill trigger. And we can go ahead and create a new fill trigger. That's going to be a BOOL. Got it? And whenever we get that, that's going to put us into mode 2. So let's go ahead and copy this if statement right here, paste another one, and that's going to be if fill trigger, then mode int is set equal to 2. And just like that, we've got our fill mode created, and we've got the template for our remaining modes. So let's go ahead and take this whole if statement right here and create another one down here. If we're in normal mode and the high switch closes, then we need another timer, so that's not going to be fill delay, that's going to be drain delay. And I can go ahead and copy that drain delay, and I'm going to paste that over here, here, and down here as well. And while I'm here, I'll go ahead and create the object, and then I'll come down here and keep right on pasting. So now let's go back here and look through this. When we're in normal mode and we've got the high switch closed, and we need to go ahead and create that high switch, that's going to be a BOOL. Then what have we got? We've got our drain delay. We're managing that. Drain delay is enabled. And yeah, it looks like that's all the setup that we actually had to do for this. So from there, we can come right back up here to our one shot, copy that, come down, and we can set up our one shot 5, and we are trucking. We are going to have yet another one of our modes done here in just a couple of seconds. So we've got our one shot 5. Let's go ahead and right click and create that guy. Done. And now we're not looking at the fill delay being done, but rather the drain delay. And we're going to energize a drain trigger, which doesn't exist yet, but it's about to. And that's going to be a BOOL. Got it? And then we need to set one more if statement down here that's going to actually put us into the mode. So if we get our drain trigger, then we're going to set mode 3. So just like that, we can get into most of our modes. And why stop there? Let's go ahead and set up our 2 emergency modes. Let's copy that, drop down, and now we're looking at being in normal mode, but now we get a LL, low level switch. Then we're going to set up a LL delay, low. Let's copy and go through our pasting. 1, 2, 3, and while we're here, let's just go ahead and create it. And we need 2 more. Done. And then we need to create our low switch. So new tag, that's going to be a BOOL. Create it. And we've only got one more of these timers that we have to create. And while we're down here, why don't we just batch process and do this thing all together. So now we're also going to set up our HH. That's also going to be a BOOL, and you can see I'm just flying through this at this point because once you really get going with this stuff, it's not too hard, it's just, not something that we really want to look at all the time because we're so used to looking at graphical interfaces. And let's create our timer. We've got it. Create 2 more of these. Good. And then we can come back up and create 2 new one-shots. And then we can create 2 new mode changes, and we should be just fine. We've got those. That's going to be our LL trigger, which is going to put us into mode 4. And then we've got our HH trigger, which is going to put us into mode 5. And we need to create both of those bools. There's 1 and there is 2. See? This isn't so hard at all. And then we need to create our one-shots right back up here. So let's scroll up a little bit. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for start, stop, alarm, reset, fill, delay, and drain. And now we're going to copy that and make a 6 and a 7 right here. So let's go ahead and lay out 6. We've got 1, 2, 3 of those. 7. I know this is boring to watch. I know you already kind of know what's going on, and if you haven't already skipped ahead, I'm surprised. I'm sure I would have already skipped ahead probably 5 times by now. But I do want you to really get comfortable actually looking at this stuff, So it's kind of important to us. Let's get a low delay in here. And we're going to energize a low trigger. And then we can go ahead and create our one-shot. And then over here, this isn't going to be drain delay, but rather high delay. So we're going to be setting a high trigger and defining our one-shot. And that cleared up all of our errors. So at this point, now we should be able to transition into all of our different modes. The only thing that we have left to do off the top of my head that I can think of is we need to manage our valve and our pump, and we already know how to do that. So if mode underscore int is equal to 2, then we want our pump equals 1, because I believe mode 2 is drain. Is that correct? Let's go back up here and check and see what that was. I don't remember off the top of my head. So we've got mode 1 is mode 2 is fill. 3 is drain. So for mode 2 fill, we want our pump to be equal to 1, and we want our valve to be equal to 0. And we just need to go ahead and create both of those bools. There's 1, and that's our last device. Very nice. Okay. And then if we are not, we want to take a look at some other things. So we want our ELSIF, else if, mode underscore int should happen to be equal to 3, then, and now I'm just going to go ahead and copy both of these and paste them in here and just reverse the values. So in that case, paste that there, and we want our pump to go off, and we want our valve to come on, and then we want one more condition, and that's going to be our else statement, and in that case we want to shut everything off. And at that we can go ahead and end underscore if. So let's get rid of this help menu, and you see here we've actually written quite a bit of program, and I think that's going to run our system. So I might have missed something. I guarantee I've got to have a couple of bugs in there, because that was a whole lot of stuff to just type off the top of my head. But whenever we emulate, of course, we'll find out what's working, what's not working. We'll come back in and straighten it out. And We didn't use our alarm blocks, which is something that we definitely could have set up for that, but just because we're in structured text doesn't mean we have to. So I did use a generic alarm, and that's okay. I think it's going to work just fine. We just won't have acknowledgement and we won't have all those fun things, but we will still have a time delay and we will have a mode, not an alarm bit, but we will have a mode that tells us if we are in one of our two alarm states. So let's wrap here and we'll come back and we'll run it up.